Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's training. So this training I literally just put together because I was reviewing the questions from the workshop. So as you guys know, we just had the wonderful 3-day workshop last week, and we ended on Saturday. So I went back and I looked at the questions that people were asking, and there was a big theme around how can I transfer or transition from X career, whatever that career is, into IT cybersecurity audit and compliance. And in the responses, my coaches and myself, we talked a lot about transferable skills, but I realized that maybe some of you don't even know what transferable skills are. So I quickly put this presentation together for you guys today so that you can begin to identify if your area of expertise where you're already working has any transferable skills for IT audit and compliance. So if you think this is going to be beneficial to you, can you let me know in the chat? Because hopefully I didn't just pull you guys here for a training that nobody wants. So if you think, let me see in the chat, how many of you feel like you'll learn from something around this? Okay, I see a couple of people that say yes. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so today we will be talking about how you would identify transferable skills to start a career in IT, cybersecurity, audit, and compliance. So here are the topics I have for you today. I'm going to give you an introduction to transferable skills, and then we're actually going to walk through five areas, five different job areas, and we're going to walk through the transferable skills in those areas for IT audit and compliance. And then at the end, I'm going to wrap up and let you guys know how you can identify transferable skills from your specific area. Because the reality is there are thousands of jobs in the world. There are thousands of roles. So there's no way I can cover all of that. But if I can give you an idea of what to do and how to get there, then you will be able to determine if you feel like you have the right transferable skills for IT audit and compliance. All right. If you guys are ready to go, let me see you guys in the chat. And for those just joining us here today, in the chat, I'll see all your questions and I'll be able to respond. Let's talk about an introduction to transferable skills. What are transferable skills, right? And quite simply, transferable skills, they refer to the expertise that you already have that you can use in different job roles. So essentially, it just means skills that you have in whatever role you're currently in or whatever expertise that you already have that you can then transfer to a different job role. And these skills don't have to be all technical, right? You could have acquired them through school activities, you could have acquired them through projects or jobs or volunteer experience. You can acquire transferable skills from anywhere. And the reality is that transferable skills can be soft skills and hard skills. So with soft skills, we're talking about things like communication, team building, ability to work well with stakeholders, right? And then for hard skills, that's where you have your hard technical skills. Maybe you have a computer science background or a help desk background, and so you know how to troubleshoot systems, right? So whether they're soft skills around communication, interacting with people, emotional, social intelligence, which are all very important. There could be technical skill sets around, maybe you already know coding, maybe you have security skill sets, website development, right? Those are all examples of skills that you can use across multiple different roles. So when we were getting those questions around, do I have skills that I can use from X field, whatever that field is, into IT cybersecurity and compliance? I wanted to share with you guys that there are several skills from different roles that are valuable and transferable to IT cybersecurity audit and compliance. All right. So this is the background information. And now let's do the real work. I want to actually review transferable skills for certain roles so that you guys can see what I mean. Because I always think like when we have examples, it's easier for people to understand. So let's take a look at the first one. We have accounting and finance. So if there's anyone in here that's accounting and finance, please let me see in the chat. So if you work in accounting and finance, right? So you work with a lot of numbers. So you've probably analyzed financial records before. You've put information in the general ledger. You've done reconciliation potentially, right? This all directly relates to your ability to audit IT systems because accounting and finance professionals need to have attention to detail. Based on the amount of data that they review and the numbers that they review, they need to have attention to detail. And when it comes to IT auditing and compliance, you must have attention to detail. How many of you attended the workshop? Let me see you guys in the chat. How many of you attended the workshop? Come on, I know you guys might be busy at work, but if you can type, that would be awesome. Exactly. Okay, I see you guys. So if you attended the workshop, right, when we were looking at the practical activities, if you guys remember from day one, and I said something like, does this control pass? And some people said it failed because they didn't pay attention to that word at least, right? When it said passwords need to be at least 8 characters. And because the password was 9, some people said it failed. That's an example of attention to detail. An accountant probably would have noticed that, right? So when you have those skills around attention to detail, you can absolutely transfer those into IT audit and compliance because you need to pay attention to all the controls you're testing and all the data that you're getting from the systems. Another area that accounting and finance professionals already have skills in is around just overall risk management, right? They review financial risk at times, depending on the area that they work on. So your ability to identify any financial risks, right? Risks to your numbers not being correct, that's the same skill set that you're going to use when you're identifying IT risks. So you already understand that a risk essentially means something that can go wrong. That's the definition of a risk, right? What can go wrong? So now you can use that same understanding of how to identify risks from finance in IT audit and compliance. Another one that's actually really awesome is your regulatory knowledge. Those in those in accounting and finance already know about financial regulations. Many of my students in accounting and finance, right, that well from an accounting and finance background already know what SOX is. They already know all the like AICPA standards and what they stand for. The only difference is they were using that from an accounting perspective. And so now, after they gain the necessary skill set in IT audit, they can use the exact same auditing language, but replace all the accounting terms with IT terms. And now they are able to get into IT audit and compliance. And in fact, again, I told you that a lot of the IT audit and compliance professionals in the big four accounting firms, KPMG, Deloitte, EY, PwC, a lot of them come from the accounting groups in those same companies. Like I remember so many, like when I was at KPMG, so many people from accounting audit teams, after they've done it a couple of years, they're like, I'm tired of accounting and audit. I want to do IT audit. And they were able to easily make the switch because they already understood the baseline regulatory standards. And now we just had to teach them the systems part of it. So you can use those skills for transferable skills. And then another one, the last one I have on the screen is data analysis. So again, reconciliations, when you have to look at data across spreadsheets, make sure everything is correct. You're analyzing financial data. That's the same exact skill set you need for IT audit cybersecurity data analysis. When you need to use VLOOKUPs, when you need to compare data around users, terminated users, or just vulnerabilities in the systems that you're trying to track, you are using those same data analysis skills with Excel. It could just be Excel. It doesn't have to be any fancy tools. So if you're really good at Excel, which most of my accountants are, then those skills will become very, very valuable in IT cybersecurity audit and compliance because you're still going to be analyzing data in Excel spreadsheets. Do you guys understand that? So did this example show you how skills from one area can still transfer to IT cybersecurity audit and compliance? The difference is you now just, of course, need to get the knowledge around the IT systems, right? But you can use those same skills, attention to detail, risk management, knowledge of regulatory compliance regulations, right? And data analysis, you can use those in IT audit and compliance. If that helped anybody, let me know. We're still going to go through more. I started saying for those of you just joining us, we talked about the definition of transferable skills, and now I'm going to be walking through 5 areas or 5 roles that have transferable skills, okay? All right, Roger, I see you. I see you. Usman, I think that's how you pronounce that. All right. So now let's go to the next one. IT support and help desk. Is anybody here from IT support and help desk background? Let's make it a little bit interactive, guys. Colette, okay. Anybody else? So here are some transferable skills that you could use in this area. So let's say the first one is technical proficiency. Actually, I tell my IT help desk folks that I have a higher bar for them, a higher expectation, because they already know IT. right? And wait, again, for all of you guys that were here on day 2 of the workshop, did you all hear when Charles spoke? You all remember when Charles spoke? Charles had an help desk and support background, right? Exactly. And it made it easier for him because he already understood the systems. He has already been doing troubleshooting for systems. He already has the lingo. So if you are in IT support and help desk, you already have the IT background or knowledge. You already know what applications, servers, all those technical things you already know. So you have that proficiency already, and that is going to be valuable because remember, for IT audits and even compliance activities, you have to understand systems in order to be able to perform your audits and examine them. So that experience with technology gives them a good solid background and foundation in understanding all the system and security principles that we teach, right? And then another one is troubleshooting, right? Problem solving skills. If you're support and help desk, you probably already you've had a lot of experience solving problems, right? So any skills you have troubleshooting IT issues, they're going to help you in IT audit and compliance because now, as you're looking at the evidence that the client or the group has provided you for the controls you're testing, it's easier for you to see where are the problem areas, right? You are able, it's kind of like you're trying to put a pieces of a puzzle together. So now it's easy for you to see, okay, I can see vulnerabilities in this area because you already have an eye for that based on your prior work in IT support, right? So you can now see, oh, there's a gap in this space because I asked for this information. The information they give me only has half of it. I don't have the other half, right? Or when you're looking at the access request tickets, you're able to see that, okay, there are no approvals on this ticket, so this is an issue. So those are transferable skills you can use. Another one is customer service experience with your support and help desk background, right? Because you already have the ability to talk to customers that maybe have no IT background, and now you're educating them on, okay, this is what you need to do in your system for me to help you to get it back up. So you already know how to communicate complex IT concepts that help your user base that are calling in, right? And now you can use that same skill set for any training that you might have to do in IT audit and compliance, specifically compliance, because some of the compliance folks are usually involved in employee security awareness, training development. So you will be able to use those customer service skills because you've learned how to be patient with people on the phone, right? So you know how to teach people that don't necessarily have an IT background that information. And also when you're communicating with all your IT audit stakeholders, right? You need to be able to communicate with your control owners, with management, with executives, with your management. That customer service piece comes in because you probably have some emotional and social intelligence already in how to deal with people when you're communicating issues, especially when you find exceptions. So that would be a great transferable skill for you. And another one is system monitoring. So for example, if you were part of a team that was monitoring IT systems for failures and events, now you can apply it to audit and compliance. From the audit perspective, you already know the monitoring tools, and now you know how to audit those monitoring tools once you know what controls to look for. So essentially, you go from being the person actually monitoring the system, setting up the system potentially, to being the auditor that's checking if the monitoring tools are working effectively in identifying issues. And if you're in compliance, you might even help put together controls to detect incidents. For any of you that haven't watched my NIST CSF 2.0 training, you can watch that. It's free. It's on YouTube. And we talk about detection is one of the functions there, right? So in compliance, your role, because you already understand system monitoring, you will be valuable in working in compliance to help organizations see the things, the processes and controls that they need to implement to have effective system monitoring processes. Is this helping you guys? If this is helping you guys, can you guys let me see in the chat? So now what I just did is I just showed you, like, if you're IT support and help desk, you have some skills that can transfer to IT cybersecurity audit and compliance. All right. So that's IT support and help desk. Let's keep going because we have a few more to go. Project management. So anybody here with a project management background? Let's see. Anybody here with a project management background? If you are, let me see. Okay, I see someone's hand go up. Okay, a couple more. Mutolani, Kenny. Okay, good. So Project management, honestly, this is one of the best areas that has IT that has skills that you can transfer. And I think on the call as well, Babalola showed or shared with us he had a project management background. Actually, he was a business analyst, became a project manager, and then he used those skills to transition to IT audit and compliance. And now he's a coach in our program. He's been working in that field for a while, right? So you can your organizational skills. When you're a project manager, you have to manage your project effectively, right? This requires you to be able to organize all the tasks and resources that are needed to complete that project successfully. Those are the exact same skills you need as an IT auditor or compliance professional, right? Because remember, I told you audit and compliance projects, they are just projects. The difference is they are specialized projects because they need a specialized skill set, right? It's not like just a generic project. So as an IT auditor, as a compliance professional, you still need those organizational skills to say, okay, I have a SOX audit and I know the three phases are planning, fieldwork, and reporting. What are all the steps that need to take place within that in order for this audit to be successful? You're going to use your same project management organizational skill set. Stakeholder management, you already know how to communicate, right, with the different stakeholders for your projects. Those are the same skills you need for IT audit and compliance, right? And so now you know how to talk with the control owners, control performers, any of the executives that are included, your management in audit. You know how to communicate any issues you're having, the results of your testing, the progress of your project. Those are all transferable skill sets that are actually great. And in fact, right, if I have an IT auditor, if I have two resumes and I have someone that's really, really technical and I have a project manager that's halfway technical, personally, I will hire the project manager that's halfway technical because I can teach them other technical skills and then they can manage my project well for me. When someone is too technical and they don't have any project management skills, it might become a problem because they'll be so focused on the technical skills, they forget about the timeline, they forget about the budget, and the project is not getting completed on time. So that's a very valuable skill, which is time, links into time management. So again, if you have experience delivering projects on schedule, that's what we need because SOX audits, they need to be done by a certain time. Audits in general, they have a beginning and they have an end, right? Or compliance activities or compliance projects, they have a beginning and an end. So if you have project management skills where your projects are being delivered on time, that is absolutely spot on what you need for audit and compliance. And I think I also mentioned this on day 3 of the workshop when we were talking about making sure you have some project management skills on your resume. And then the last one I have here is also risk assessment. One of the things that project managers do is they assess the risk of the project, right? Any risks associated with getting that project completed on time. So the same skills, the same ability to assess risks for projects is the same skill you're going to use for IT audit and compliance. The difference is instead of identifying project risks, now you're identifying security risks from an IT perspective. And once you gain the knowledge, right, you gain the skills and the training on IT skills, on IT risks, your brain is easily able to identify, okay, I understand these IT risks because you already have experience with project risks. Is this helping you guys? Everybody? Because again, you have to be able to see what you already do, right, in the new role. What happens sometimes is that people, let me come on live video here because some people might think I'm not live. I'm live, guys. Some people might think like, oh, my area is so special, I don't have skills. But what I've done is I'm showing you skills in these areas that you may think have nothing to do with IT cybersecurity audit and compliance, but in actual fact, they do. And all you need to do is take those transferable skills in addition to all the technical skills that you learn from like our program. And then by the time you combine them, you're really set up for success because you already have experience on your resume that you can use for transferable skills. You add on what we have, and then you have a better profile to transition into the field. Okay? All right. I finally see the chats coming through. Thanks, Kaz. Thanks. Oh, Kenny said PM is your bread and butter. Then we need to see you on the IT audit side, okay, or compliance, whichever one you want to go into. And Mary said, good. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So we have 2 more. We started off, for those that joined us, we started off by looking at accounting and finance. Then we looked at IT support and help desk. Now we looked at project management. We have 2 more to review, okay? All right. So the next one we have is, right, quality assurance analyst. A QA analyst needs to have analytical skills, right? So they need the ability to analyze processes and identify any quality issues, right? You can use those same analytical skills when you're analyzing IT systems for vulnerabilities. So for example, if you're looking at a vulnerability report on that was generated for a system, you can use those same analytical skills to say, okay, I'm looking at this report, here are all the issues, here are the things that are potential issues that we need to fix. And here are the different ratings for the issues, the ones that are high, critical, low. Use that same analytical mindset that you use when you are a QA analyst. Do you understand that? So you can still bring that same skill set in here. And Kike that shared with us on Tuesday, right? Kike shared, not Tuesday, on Friday last week during the workshop day 2. She was a QA analyst. And that really helped her because she had that transferable skill set of being very analytical. Another one is documentation. If you're a QA analyst, you probably have to do a bit of documentation when you're doing your testing and your results and all of that. And one of the things I shared with you is that for audit and compliance, there's quite a bit of documentation as well, because you have to document your work, your results, the controls, the testing. You have to document all of that, right? So those documentation skills, right, your writing skills or typing skills, those are going to be crucial when you are identifying issues when you're doing your control testing, right? And then when you want to put your report together, those communication skills, your written communication skills, are going to come in very handy. Another one is your testing skill, right? So testing skills for QA analysts, there's a lot of testing around change management controls, right? Maybe a new system was implemented or is being implemented, so they're testing the quality of that. So you can apply that same testing skills in, let's say you want to go more into the security pen testing area. Remember, we talked about that. I can't remember, maybe on day 3 of the workshop, or when you're doing security assessments as an auditor, right? You're performing testing of controls. So again, those same testing skills, you're just going to make them broader. Now, instead of just testing for distinct things for a system being implemented, you are now testing across a whole system. And again, you just need to get the right training to know how to test, but you're still bringing in those skills. And then the last thing is change management. QA analysts are usually brought in, right, when they're testing, when changes are being made to a system or a system is being built, right? They're brought in to test maybe the workflow to make sure things are going the right way. That same change management knowledge will be the same knowledge you need when you're testing change management controls for IT audit and compliance. All right. So again, the knowledge of change management testing processes, you can just flip that and say, I've done this as a QA analyst. I'm going to use those same skills to develop test procedures that we need to perform for IT audit and compliance activities. All right? Is this helping anybody? If it's helping you in the chat, can I see you? Let me see. All right, someone said me. Okay, good. Awesome. And then the fifth one that we're going to share today, guys, is the business analyst role. Again, I shared with you, Babalola started as a business analyst, became a project manager, and now he's in the IT audit and compliance space. And again, business analyst is a great one because you probably already have a lot of experience working with different groups in a company. So you know how to analyze business processes, right? So your understanding of business processes is going to be actually pretty key in understanding how IT systems support these business processes. Let me give you an example. So for example, when you want to test SOX, right? I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a free training here. When you're analyzing or planning your scope for SOX, right? SOX has to do with financial statement audits. Do you guys remember from day 1? How many of you remember that the SOX audit has to do with financial reporting? You guys were awesome. Okay, Roger, thank you. I was going to say, I hope you all remember. So because it has to do with financial statements, the financial statement is not just from the accounting department, because financial statement is related to business processes across the organization that has to do with finances, right? So one of the things you have to do when you're scoping is understand all the business processes that impact the financial statement, financial reporting process. Okay, and so a business analyst that's already pretty good at understanding or analyzing business processes will be good at helping understand what those business processes are that impact the financial reporting process, and then identifying what systems those business processes have that we then need to audit as the auditor. Because from the IT auditor perspective, we are auditing the IT systems, but we first need to understand the business process that the IT system is supporting. One of the things I always say in my class is we don't perform IT audits just because. No, we are performing IT audits because they are supporting business processes, and we're trying to understand, help the organization achieve their goals, right? The organization needs to achieve the goals. And because organizations are using IT systems, right, we are auditing those systems because we want to see how they can impact their processes. So business analysts, your business process analysis skills are going to be really good in helping you understand those business processes and the IT systems so that you can see what the impact, how it impacts the scope of your IT audits, and even when you perform your compliance activities. Okay. All right, I'm going off camera because my internet sometimes can't support both camera and audio when I'm talking. And then another one is requirements gathering. Business analysts, they do a lot of requirements gathering for projects because sometimes they're working with project managers. So they're gathering all the business requirements for the project. This is going to be very valuable in your walkthrough process because your walkthrough process, you're doing an interview, right? You're trying to understand the processes again. You're trying to understand the controls in place. So you're almost gathering requirements for your audit work. So your skills in talking to people to understand what their business requirements are will help you in that IT audit walkthrough process. And it's also going to help you understand, if you're in the compliance space, for example, what are the compliance requirements? So let's say you work in a company and they've never been PCI certified before. It's their first year to get PCI certification. They're going to need somebody that understands the PCI certification requirements, right? And see, okay, based on those requirements, what are the things that we need to put in place in our organization to meet them? So your ability to gather requirements for business processes can actually be transferable into IT cybersecurity audit and compliance when you need to gather compliance requirements or even conduct walkthroughs to understand business processes and controls. Another one is data modeling, right? You might be using Visio diagrams or any other tools, right, to come up with data flows or workflows for your data process, for your business processes. You can use the same skills in IT audit and compliance, because when you're performing IT audit and compliance, sometimes you want to map out what the process is first. After mapping out the process, then it's easier to identify where all the controls are or where they should be. So that ability to model, right, and create process flows, that will become very valuable if you're in a role that requires you to do that. One of the roles that I had actually when I was one of the telecommunication companies, when we started helping them build their GRC program, we didn't start with controls. We actually started with developing the workflows. I had to have a lot of meetings with their key stakeholders to understand what are all the what are all their processes. And I literally had to build out all the workflows first. After building out the workflows, then I was able to identify where they had existing controls and where they needed to add controls. So that data modeling is very, very critical, and it's not always required, but I'm saying that skill set is something you can use in IT cybersecurity audit and compliance. And then the last one is stakeholder communication. I think you've seen this across about 3 roles right now. So your ability to communicate very effectively with business stakeholders, it's important because I tell people, if you don't want to talk to anybody, you can't be in a role that's audit and compliance, because you need to be talking to people. You need to be talking to stakeholders. So you already have the ability to communicate effectively with stakeholders if you're a business analyst, and you can use that same skill set to convey, the importance of security measures, for example, to end users, if you're doing training for them, or to just even communicate the results of an audit or compliance effort to key stakeholders. All right. So let me pause here and see if you guys benefited from that. So we've just talked about 5 key roles, guys. We talked about 5 roles. And some of you might have joined late. So we talked about 5 roles and how you can utilize transferable skills from those roles to go into IT cybersecurity audit and compliance. And the key there is that you may not have the IT skills right now. You may not have the IT audit and compliance skills, but you do have transferable skills, right? If you've even managed people before, if you've been a supervisor, you've managed people and tasks, that's awesome, right? And so now, let's say you join our program, you get the IT audit and compliance knowledge there. You combine that with what you already know, and now you have a winning profile that's going to help you with that career transition. All right. So I'm looking in the chat here. I'm looking in the chat and I see this is what I expected. I expected some of you to start asking, are you going to cover this area? So someone's asking about CCTV, another person is talking about healthcare. The reality is, I started off by saying there are thousands of roles in the world, right? I can't cover everything in one training. I had to select 5 for this particular training. However, I want to show you how you can actually use ChatGPT, for example, or maybe not show you, I'll tell you how to use ChatGPT, for example, to identify those skill sets for your area. So if I didn't cover your particular area, that's totally okay. You can do this yourself. How many of you are familiar with ChatGPT? If you are, can you please put it in the chat? Let me see. And I'm looking here because I'm looking at the chat. How many of you already are familiar with ChatGPT? Okay. So you can type this prompt, and what I'm going to do is when I post this, I'm actually probably going to put this on YouTube. You can type this prompt into ChatGPT for your specific area and ask it to identify transferable skills for you, right? And that would help you because again, I can't do it for all the roles, but you can do this for your particular area. So for those that were in the 5 areas that I covered, well, you were lucky. But even if the area where you're working is not one of those 5 areas, you can still do this by yourself. So you can type something like this in ChatGPT. I want to transition careers from whatever area you're in, right? Healthcare to IT, cybersecurity, audit, and compliance. And I want you to identify the skills from that area that can be used to go into IT, cybersecurity, audit, and compliance. You can type this in ChatGPT and it will give you results for you to consider. In fact, you can be a pro and you can go ahead and upload your current resume. You don't have to edit your resume. So the resume you have for your current role, you can put that in there and also say, based on my resume, you can make sure you have all your experiences in there, right? Get me a customized list of transferable skills for IT, cybersecurity, audit, and compliance. All right? Do you understand? So if I didn't cover your area today, because today was just supposed to be a quick training, you can do this for yourself. And that's the key because the reality is you have to do this for yourself so that you can know what those transferable skills are. But the good thing is you don't have to sit down, right, on a blank piece of paper and wonder. You can listen to this training again, see all the things that I talked about, and then also check ChatGPT for your area to see what works for you. So let's go over the summary for today. So again, today we started off by reviewing an introduction to transferable skills. And transferable skills are essentially the skill set and the expertise you have from one field that can be transitioned to another job role. You need, there can be soft skills or hard skills. So communication skills, people management, or website development, coding, IT support, knowledge, right? It can be soft skills, it can be hard skills. And now what you need to do when you're going for a career transition into IT, cybersecurity, audit, and compliance is you can analyze your current role and the transferable skills from that role that can help you get into IT, cybersecurity, audit, and compliance. And for today's training, I selected 5 areas because this is the area, these are the areas where we get a lot of people ask about. So accounting and finance, IT support help desk, project management, QA analyst, business analyst. We've had people from all these roles get successfully roll into IT, cybersecurity, audit, and compliance after taking our programs. Even healthcare. I didn't include it on the list because we had a limited time, but we've had people in healthcare because guess what? HIPAA is a very big deal when it comes to healthcare, right? So your knowledge of regulations in the healthcare space can help you maybe specialize in IT audit and compliance within healthcare. I think I was sharing with you guys that one of our students, I think it was in Canada, she was a nurse and her knowledge, she used that nursing degree and her knowledge there to customize her resume for compliance in the healthcare field. And the job she got was with Johnson & Johnson, a pharmaceutical company that required the compliance expert to have knowledge of healthcare. So you can see how you can use knowledge even in healthcare and other areas. And I showed you how you can identify your transferable skills for your role. If I didn't cover it, for example, you can use ChatGPT. Use the prompt that I shared. It's going to be in the recording when I post it. Use that prompt to check your transferable skills, but you're essentially just asking ChatGPT, here's my background, here's my resume, what are the transferable skills to IT, cybersecurity, audit, and compliance? And that will give you an idea of the knowledge that of the areas that you already have skills in that you can use to get into IT audit and compliance. And essentially what you end up doing is taking those transferable skills, taking the new skills you learn in a program like ours, like the IT audit fundamentals that I've already talked to you guys about. You take those skills together, right? So it's not like you're starting from scratch, and then you are able to transition in the field based on that combination skill set, all right? Or that combined skill set, okay? So did this help everybody? So for those of you that are wondering, yes, enrollment is still open. We already have quite a few people enrolled, but we're looking for you to enroll too. You already have the link if you get my emails, or you have it on my social handles. To make it easy, it's just yoitcareer.com/ITAF. You can enroll in the fundamentals program, or you can enroll in the VIP program. Enrollment closes on Friday, and we don't extend it because we already have students waiting. So I'm not going to extend, and then have them wait longer, because immediately and the good thing is, even though enrollment closes on Friday, the people that already enrolled, they already started studying, because you get immediate access to our program. One of the students already emailed me that they are almost done with module 1 and they're already going through quizzes. So when you enroll, you're able to get started immediately. If you need to wait for Friday for different reasons, that's okay. Enrollment is going to close end of day Friday, and I would really love to work with you, because I know that if you have the right skill set, you have the right mindset too, you can make this work for you. All right, so I'm gonna let you all go. Thank you all. I know you guys like hanging out with me. I like hanging out with you guys too. So again, make sure you enroll before the deadline. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.